IMSA fans, we are continuing our little paddock love letter to the amazing GT machinery in IMSA's WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. Speaking of love, we got the mayor of Hinchtown right here, the James Hinchcliffe. You are driving a papaya orange, a black plaid. I'm calling it Blad. We're going to take a look at his awesome Pfaff Motorsports McLaren 720S GT3. Friends at Inception,
Evo.
right?
Evo.
That's right. And Inception Racing been putting in great work for the past year plus with their car in GTD, stepping up to GTD Pro with McLaren. We know that by the red end plates, but let's look at this beautiful machine. Like your contract, you get this at the end of the year, right?
Obviously, yeah, okay. It's all part of it.
This vehicle, powerful turbocharged V8 twin turbo motor.
Yes.
Rear engine, but it's not super far back. It's tucked right up close behind you, kind of like a sweater. Tell us about your car.
So mid-engine. It's what we like to call a real architecture for a race car. It's everything's in the right place, you know, and you get such a cool mixed bag in GT. But like you say, it's a 4-liter twin turbo. It's about 550 horsepower, which is obviously regulated by the balance of performance here in IMSA. So it actually makes less horsepower than the road car, which is kind of interesting, but we still go quite a bit faster in other ways for other reasons. It's kind of unique in this class in the sense that, you know, where the driver sits, the chassis of the car is actually a carbon fiber tub. It's not a tube frame chassis. So again, it's almost built like a mini prototype in a lot of ways. There are, you know, a lot of things that are carried over from the road car. Everything from the dihedral doors, which actually are really helpful in pit stops, because if you come too close to pit wall in a normal good old swing open door, that can actually cause a lot of problems. But when you've got something cool like this, it goes up instead of out. It means that drivers have all the room you need to get in and out, and we can go through the inside of this a little bit later.
You know, Hinch, one thing I love about this car, and I guess it fits McLaren and the great Formula One heritage as well, aerodynamics. It has all of them in one car. Holy cow, from the dive planes to the louvers venting, the front fenders, to a bunch of aerodynamic sorcery going on here at the door with vanes and such. Talk about this vehicle from an aero standpoint, because there's some cars that aren't by any means as complex, but this car, it just works with the air to do great things.
Well, like I said, it was almost built with a prototype concept in mind. So right from the beginning, right from the front of the car, you've got your front splitter here. Sort of acts in the same way that a front wing on a Formula car would. This is kind of where the front downforce is generated primarily. The ride height on the front and the distance between the splitter and the ground has a huge effect on how much front aero you have, how much front grip you have. Like you said, dive planes here, it kind of helps shape the air around the car, affects it the whole way down the side. As we come to the side, you see the barge boards here, side skirts from the floor, and then the back of the car. You know, if you've got aero load on the front, you got to match that aero load on the rear as well.
This is where the party starts, at the back.
You got a nice balance, exactly. So obviously rear wing, we see those on a lot of cars, road cars, race cars, sports cars, single seaters, doesn't matter. With IMSA, you get a minimum angle that you're allowed to run here at Daytona. Big long straightaways, straight line speed is important, so they only let you trim it out a certain amount. And then of course, you know, the diffuser, the floor here, Bernoulli's principle is a huge thing. It's a real deal in motorsports, and the floor is where obviously we're getting the fast air going under the car. Lower pressure means the car's lower to the ground, gets more downforce there. So again, a lot of aero components for a GT car. You think about that lot on an open wheel car, but there's actually quite a bit going on here as well.
And you also are kind of a part-time fireworks dealer, because the amount of flame and cool stuff coming out of the exhausts, that's another little grace note here with the McLarens. So love that. Tell me, Hinch, from a balance, yes, you got a little rearward camera you can say hello to.
A radar sensing rear camera. Like, we don't have a rear view mirror. As you can see, there's no window here. So we rely on this. We got our wing mirrors, but when it comes from the back of the car to see out the back, they have this camera. It's not just a camera, it's got a radar sensor here as well. So it actually picks up cars that are coming at you. It can differentiate between a GT car or a prototype. They show up different colors on the screen inside the cockpit. So it's super helpful for the drivers because you can tell what's coming, how many are coming, what side they're coming. It's pretty cool.
So Canadian team, which means you all are extremely nice, but does the little radar and camera here give you some sort of friend or foe thing that flashes up on the dash? Maybe a frowny face if it's a rival you don't like? How does that work?
I wish it would. We're working, that technology is in development. The problem is the only guy I would want to give the finger to, I'm sharing the car with. So Rossi gets away with it this time.
Man, the Grunt Master General right there. Other aspects about this car, Hinch, if you look at it from the side, you see the really low profile, but how sleek it is. I mean, you just look at the aspect ratio. Some GT cars, which you've driven before as well, maybe sit up a little taller, might have you more towards the back, towards the front. This, as you mentioned, looks like a prototype. It is just gorgeous. Let's close with the area of expertise that is certainly one of yours. That is suspension. McLarens are known for radical handling. Tell folks about the actuation here, because not only does it go quickly in a straight line and brake, but the cornering, another specialty.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, let's touch on the brakes because you mentioned them. You can see the size of the rotors, the calipers. I mean, these things have a lot of abuse they're going to take over 24 hours. And also, in this GT class, you have ABS. You do have that technology, something very different from prototypes, different from open wheel cars, something you got to get used to as a driver, relying on the ABS, kind of using that. So that's one of the big things we're learning. But then, yeah, of course, I mean, a lot of lap time on a race car comes from how it corners. The suspension geometry and the design here is top notch. Again, designed kind of with a prototype feeling in mind. Very tunable, but it's very cool in the sense that it doesn't have any really weird characteristics. It is a very forgiving race car in a lot of ways. When you have, the Porsche is known for being very specific. It's got a very specific setup that it likes, driving style that it likes. If you're driving, a big heavy front engine car, that can be a little bit unique as well. Just the architecture of this car with the profile, like you said, being nice and low, the engine being where it is, the weight distribution's great. It makes it a very kind of easy to predict and understandable race car. So everyone at McLaren's done a great job designing this thing. Everyone at Pfaff's done a great job working on it, building it up the way that they want it to go racing, and I can't wait to get in the race.
I just noticed the little kind of reverse McLaren swoosh there. It's been there the whole time, and I just noticed it. So
there's subtleties everywhere. There's subtleties everywhere.
Hinch, appreciate you. Love this car. So happy we have McLaren and GTD Pro and GTD. Great friends from the Great White North doing big things.
Make sure you follow along with us on IMSA's official YouTube channel and follow IMSA Racing on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. We're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff with some pretty cool people with some pretty cool race cars. Visit IMSA.com to hear the action called live and download the official IMSA app to follow the timing and scoring information as the sessions take place.